I wish to discuss licensing as it pertains to a person's credibility, their worth to others. A license is a mark of competence. Someone signs off on your having been educated. And I find fault with this because education doesn't cease in my understanding of the word education. It doesn't cease because education is a acquiring of knowledge. It is a acquiring of connections, of references. This doesn't end. So how is it justifiable as a mark of competence to have someone else sign off on your education? A license is wrong because a license is affording one to rest on their laurels. A license is affording one to think that they have accomplished something that cannot be accomplished. You cannot be educated in the eyes of community, society, civilization, because all these bodies are malleable. They are subject to changes. You can't be educated. By any sort of institution, under any establishment. Because an establishment is a body that is, yes, fixed, but only fixed until amendments are made, and amendments are decided by the malleability of community, society, civilization. Therefore, what is the true reason for a license other than to example a supremacy over your fellow man or fellow woman? Now, I think in one relation a license would make sense, but again it would be not taken seriously if looked at technically, but it would be taken seriously if understood through experience, and that is that a license would make sense, would be applicable to the relation between a parent and a child. The child is not yet fully formed, whereas the parent is, although not yet fully formed in all the areas of knowledge, is fully formed where it pertains to acquiring knowledge. Therefore, the relation between parent and child can be a relation where we can apply to the parent a license, but this license is not technically valid. This license is merely valid through experience alone. Licenses are not valid between one adult and another. They're not technically valid because, as I explained, the bodies that they exist within are always changing. They are malleable. And they are not valid through understanding of experience either. Think of a license to drive an automobile. This is not a valid, this is not a complete understanding of the operations of driving an automobile. You know, if you were to get your license in one country to drive, where you drove on one side of the road, then you were to travel to another country, and where the laws were you had to drive on the other side of the road, you are not licensed to drive. And yet, you're allowed to drive. Why is that? You're not licensed to drive on that side of the road, but yet you are entitled to. Because it's not about your understanding of the machination and operations of driving. The license is about supremacy. Yours compared to passengers, compared to people, average Joes and average Janes walking the sidewalks, compared to cyclists, etc. The license is something you use, an illusion you use to afford yourself an illusory supremacy. And the fact that governments support licensing. Examples that governments want you to be self-absorbed enough to aim for supremacy over your fellow human being. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video to explain what a license is. Most people, I don't think, are aware of what it actually is, of what it actually means. And a license is also a degree. It's not just referring to a mark of competence in a utility, but it's also referring to a mark of competence in an absorption of information, so to speak. And that absorption of information is the sitting in class and having words spat at you in lecture. And so that makes you, or is socially intended to make you think you are better than other people. It's odd how that works. Have a good day. Peace. Meow.